Good afternoon, session chairs and all the participants. I thank PinCon being organized by NACE Northern Chapter along with Indian Oil Corporation to allow me to present corrosion protection of reinforced concrete foundation and piles in coastal and marine locations. So I'll be spending about 15 to 20 minutes discussing on the protection of reinforced steel in concrete structures. As all of you are aware, coatings and cathodic protection are used for protecting buried steel structures in cross-country pipelines. In the last 15 to 20 years, protection of buried piping systems has also become an important element in protecting the integrity of piping systems of refinery, petrochemicals, fertilizer plants in India. One area which is now gaining a lot of importance is corrosion protection of steel reinforcement in concrete foundations, specifically in piles which are driven into the ground for ground consolidation, for building tank farms, for building structures over grounds which require reinforcement. Also, foundations which are being built for various equipments in a refinery or in a petrochemical plant. Also, the importance to protect the reinforcement from corroding has gained a lot of importance in India. If you see on the slide on the left-hand side, you can see steel rebars, one which is severely corroded, the other which is mildly corroded, and then there is a rebar which is not corroded. So the discussion today for the next 15-20 minutes would be to ensure that the rebar which provides integrity or the structural integrity to a concrete pile or a concrete foundation is maintained by ensuring that the rebar does not corrode with time. When the concrete structure or a pile is in ground, just like in the case of a pipeline, it is in contact with soil. Now, soil has elements which cause corrosion. All of you know that constituents in the soil, oxygen, moisture, ions like chloride ions, sulfate ions are elements when they come in contact with steel, starts the process of corrosion. Same way, when steel is embedded in concrete, the steel develops a passive layer due to alkalinity of cement. Now that passive layer prevents corrosion, and normally steel would not corrode with time. But specifically in coastal and marine locations, the constituents of the soil contain chlorides, which are one of the major factors which cause corrosion on the steel rebars. Once the corrosion starts on the rebar, as you will see in my subsequent slides, the steel, the rust which is formed on the steel expands, and that causes cracks in the concrete surface. Now, the outside of the concrete surface is in contact with the soil. So when the concrete cover cracks, moisture, oxygen, including chloride ions, penetrate into the concrete foundation and start accelerating the corrosion. And then what happens, if you see on the left-hand side, you can see extensive pitting to severe pitting on the rebars. So the steel rebars start to lose their strength, and that, if it goes unchecked, can lead to a possible collapse of the concrete structure, leading to failure of a concrete structure. And all of you would have heard in the past that in coastal areas, steel reinforced bridges collapse. The reason why they collapse is primarily due to corrosion of the rebars. The concrete structure does not have strength to hold itself and it collapses. Same way in refineries, specifically in the coastal area, as India is building a lot of new infrastructure, the pile caps which support above ground storage tanks, heavy equipment, need to be properly protected so that the rebars do not corrode, which can compromise the integrity of the pile caps or integrity of the RCC piles, and thereby endanger the structures like tanks which are built from collapsing, and hence ensuring in today's environment a proper corrosion protection of the steel rebars is extremely critical. As I said, reinforced cement concrete is highly stable because the reinforcement in the concrete becomes passive due to the alkaline environment of the cement. So now in normal cases, the steel reinforcement should not corrode. The cement acts like a coating to the steel rebars which are embedded in it. But due to material limitations, design and construction practices, severe exposure conditions of the soil, wherein if you have a lot of chloride ions which are available, the ions penetrate into the concrete cover and starts the deterioration process of the rebars. And as rebar corrodes, its volume increases, it cracks the outer surface of the concrete and allows moisture, chloride ions, and other corroding ions to come in contact with the steel, leading to a rapid corrosion of the steel rebars. So the photograph on the left hand side, you can see the cover of the concrete has completely gone. The rebars are exposed to the environment. In this particular photograph, the rebars are exposed to the atmospheric environment, which also causes a high corrosion rate. So this is the process which, as professional engineers, we have to stop. That means we have to stop the reinforcement, the steel reinforcement in the concrete from not corroding, to ensure the integrity of the pile caps, pile foundations, and equipment foundations in coastal and marine locations. Normally, as I said, steel in concrete does not corrode because the cement provides a natural protective film which prevents the steel rebar from corroding. The elements which cause corrosion on the rebars are primarily three: chlorides. Chlorides destabilize the passive film, leading to a localized breakdown and causes a rapid corrosion on the rebar. Above ground, carbon dioxide in the air basically penetrates through the concrete cover. It lowers the pH environment around the steel rebar, which loses the passive, causes the loss of the passive film on the rebar, and again starts the process of corrosion. The third element in refineries which can cause corrosion on the rebars is DC stray currents. As I said, now in refineries, cathodic protection of burette piping has become prevalent. Now, while protecting the burette piping in a refinery or in a petrochemical environment can cause DC stray current corrosion on reinforcements, concrete reinforcements which are near the anodic gradients. So if proper design is not done of the cathodic protection of the plant piping, it can endanger the concrete piles, the pile caps, which would be in the anodic gradient of these anodes. So the design engineers should be aware that while you are trying to protect the burette steel piping, or trying to protect the tank bottoms of large storage tanks, we can cause stray current corrosion on the concrete nearby structures, leading to a rapid deterioration of these structures. So these three factors should be kept in mind while ensuring that the steel rebars do not corrode, and to ensure the long-term integrity of concrete structures in a refinery or in a petrochemical environment. So typically, this slide gives you an idea. There is a rebar which is embedded in concrete. The rebar is showing no corrosion, and the integrity of the concrete structure is well maintained. Due to chloride ions over a period of time diffusing through the concrete cover, this is the concrete cover over the rebar, starts the process of corrosion. When corrosion process starts, the rust pushes the concrete up, leading to formation of cracks. When cracks get formed, it forms a direct path of the outside environment, which is primarily soil, to leach into the foundation and start accelerating the process of corrosion on the steel rebar. The photograph on the right shows you structures which are concrete structures where varying degree of corrosion has occurred on the rebars and causing in the one of the concrete structures, the entire concrete cover has fallen, causing rapid corrosion of the steel rebar. So once the steel rebar snap, the structural integrity of the concrete pile will be compromised and it can lead to a collapse of the pile. The photograph on the left-hand side bottom, sorry, right-hand side bottom categorically shows various forms of rust which are formed on the rebar. And if you see ferrous hydroxides, the volume is almost 6 times of an Fe ion. Now, as the volume of ferrous hydroxide is 6 times, it causes immense cracks to be formed on the concrete cover if the corrosion process starts. And that what starts basically water chloride ions to ingress and start a very rapid corrosion of the steel rebars. If you see the photograph which I am showing on the left-hand side, the concrete has almost a 4-inch concrete cover. If this concrete cover cracks, chloride ions will penetrate and will start a rapid corrosion of the steel rebars, leading to an integrity issue of this pile. Now, this slide basically gives you an idea what I've been talking, that how the rebar corrodes. On the left-hand side is the first photograph, which is showing you a rebar. It is indicating a passive layer, which is built due to the cement around the rebar. Over a period of time, the buried structure, chloride ions diffuse, and on the atmospheric side, if the structure is partly buried and partly into the atmosphere, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere diffuses to the concrete. Both these basically damage the passive film and starts the process of corrosion. Chloride ions obviously start the corrosion process much faster as compared to the carbon dioxide impregnating through the concrete in the atmospheric zone. So when the chloride ions impregnate, they form rust. The rust, as I said, is 6 times the volume of an Fe ion. That pushes the concrete and starts the formation of the cracks. Now this becomes a repetitive cycle, causing the concrete to crack and then eventually fall down. This is being shown in the 3 photographs on the bottom side. If you see the first photograph, the concrete of a foundation post is completely okay. Over a period of time, you can see small crack formation. And then finally, the entire cover of the concrete has fallen down, exposing the steel to the environment. Once the steel gets exposed to the environment, this is what is going to happen. The diameter of the rebar starts to reduce, and then eventually the reinforcement steel will collapse, causing the collapse of the concrete structure. This photograph exactly depicts what I've been telling you. You can see how much is the reduction of the thickness of a rebar. So once this gets compromised, the entire concrete structure can collapse. As you would have heard in India many times, in Goa, we have seen bridges collapsing. It primarily collapses due to the reinforcement getting corroded in a saline atmosphere, and hence the necessity to ensure that steel in concrete does not corrode with time. The photograph on the right hand side basically shows diffusion of chloride ions through the concrete hitting the rebar. Moment chloride ions hits the rebar, corrosion starts. Now this photograph again shows or conveys the same message which I have been discussing. Moisture enters through the hairline, rust begins to form. Rust, which is ferrous hydroxide, it's basically has 6 times the volume of the initial formation of the rust. This pushes the concrete up and causes a complete breakdown of the concrete cover, exposing steel directly to the environment, leading to either crevice corrosion or pitting corrosion. Now, both these corrosions have a very high corrosion rates. They are not dictated by normal corrosion rates. The corrosion rates can almost be 0.5 to 1 millimeter per year. And if the rebar is about 16 millimeter or 25 millimeter, in 10 to 15 years in corrosive environment, the rebar diameters can reduce considerably, which would compromise the strength of the concrete, causing a catastrophic failure. Now, how do we check a concrete which is embedded partly in the ground and partly in the air, whether the rebar is corroding or not? So we all understand the science of measuring in our terminology, what we do, pipe to soil potential. The same terminology or the same systems are used for checking what is happening on the rebar without removing the concrete. ASTM C876 provides a relationship between the measured potential values and the corrosion probability. So what we do is we take a sponge, we take a copper sulfate reference electrode, put the sponge on the concrete, put the reference electrode in a copper sulfate solution so that a proper electrical connectivity is made between the concrete and the copper sulfate reference electrode. The copper sulfate reference electrode is connected to the multimeter the same way we would connect a pipe, and the rebar is connected to the positive of the multimeter the same way we would connect a pipeline. Now, the potential, what we read, if the potential is more negative than minus 200 millivolt, the probability of steel corroding is less than 10%. If the rebar potential is more electronegative than minus 0.35 volt or 350 millivolt, then the chances of steel corroding is more than 90%. Within 200 and 350 millivolt, it is uncertain if the steel is corroding or not. So by doing this simple test, we can really find out if the concrete within, the rebar within the concrete, is it in a passive zone or is it in an active zone as far as corrosion is concerned. Now, the way we have potential ranges of steel in soil, where we know that between minus 0.3 to minus 0.7, steel is corroding, but potential of minus 0.3 volt in steel shows that the steel is cathodic, and minus 0.7 shows that the steel is anodic. Same way, by measuring the potentials of steel in concrete, we can find out what is the condition of the rebar in concrete. So depending on the status of the concrete, it can either be humid but chloride free. So if we measure potentials between minus 200 to plus 100 millivolt with respect to a copper sulfate electrode, it gives us an indication that the concrete is chloride free. If we are measuring potentials between minus 600 to minus 400, we know that the chloride is contaminated. If we are measuring between minus 1000 to minus 900, the concrete is saturated with water, but there is no oxygen. And then if the concrete values are between -400 to +100 millivolt, the concrete is carbonated. And similar, we can find out if it is a dry concrete or if it is a dry carbonated concrete. So if it's a dry concrete, we will have a potential of 0 to +200 millivolt, and this indicates no corrosion. So by logging in these values of the potential of steel in concrete with respect to copper sulfate electrode, we can find out the status of what is happening in the rebar, the same way we do measurements of pipe in soil. This is a very important test to be conducted by engineers to ensure that the steel in foundations or steel in pipe caps are not corroding. Now, having determined what is the status, we now have to look into mitigation measures. Typically, the story is same as we do in pipelines. What we do in pipelines, we have a coating. Apart from coating, what do? We apply cathodic protection. So if you apply the same story onto a rebar, which is embedded in concrete, the corrosion protection mitigation measures of rebars becomes very easy to understand. So this is a rebar casted in concrete. This is basically the distance between the rebar and outer surface of the concrete is called as the concrete cover, and it is embedded in atmosphere where chloride ions are floating around, which can either be soil or it can be an outside atmosphere. So how do you protect the rebar? Either you do a coating, or you apply cathodic protection, or you do a combination of both. So that's one strategy. The other strategy is to apply a coating on the concrete surface between the concrete surface and the soil. So this is another strategy. Another strategy is to put in corrosion inhibitors, which would not allow corrosion to occur on the rebar and will keep rebar in the passive state. We can also put in some chemicals within the concrete, which would reduce the permeability of the concrete. That means it would not allow easily chloride or sulfate ions to move from the soil into the concrete and hit the rebar. So these are various strategies which can be adopted to prevent corrosion of rebar. So the basic strategies which anybody would adopt is to use a high performance concrete which would inhibit moisture chloride ions hitting the rebar, provide coating between the concrete and the soil surface called as concrete surface protection. The third strategy would be to do a rebar coating. That means you coat the rebar. The fourth strategy would be to do cathodic protection of the rebar. And the fifth strategy would be to put corrosion inhibitors in the concrete, which would keep the surface of the rebar passive. Now, I will not go in detail on this slide, but it gives you various strategies which can be adopted in all these 5 points which I have discussed: high performance concrete, concrete surface protection, rebar coating, cathodic protection, corrosion inhibitor. Within these 5 strategies, we have different sub-strategies which can be adopted to ensure the integrity of steel rebar in concrete. I will be basically focusing on FBE coated rebar, which is being commonly used now in India, a galvanized rebar, which has also been used. Along with, I'll show you some slides of how to do impressed current protection of rebar in concrete. So the first strategy which a company would look in is to use a high performance concrete which would inhibit chloride, oxygen and moisture to travel into the concrete cover and cause the loss of passive film of the rebar. So again, there are various strategies which can be used to have a proper water cement ratio, to provide adequate cement cover, to have a high range water reducing admixture, curing the cover properly, and having a proper cement to water ratio, which I've already mentioned above. The objective of this strategy is to slow ingress of corrosive elements into the rebar. Now we can reduce this by about 10 or 15 years, but eventually through the concrete, these corrosive elements will hit the rebar and cause corrosion. So this is a mid-term strategy. It's not a long-term strategy. The other strategy is to apply coating, which we typically call as surface sealers and membranes in this technology. So these membranes, which is basically a coating, will not allow oxygen, chloride, and again, water molecules to hit the steel surface. There are various types of sealers which can be used depending on the life and the cost. What is the objective? To block corrosive elements at concrete surface. Material selection. We can have a normal rebar. We can have a corrosion-resistant rebar. We can have a fusion-bonded epoxy rebar. We can have a galvanized rebar. Mostly for buried structures, fusion-bonded epoxy rebars are used. Galvanized rebars are normally used for atmospheric conditions. Corrosion-resistant rebars are also not used for buried applications. They are normally used for above-ground applications. Objective is to ensure that steel is not exposed to the corrosive environment the same way we do 3-layer PE or fusion bond epoxy on our buried pipelines. So this photograph shows FBE coated rebar, commonly known as green rebars. Effectively can be used to mitigate corrosion. Okay. One of the strategies is to use a fusion bond epoxy coated rebar, commonly used in many parts of India for constructing bridges in the marine or in a saline atmosphere. You would have seen green rebars in the construction of bridges. This is a good strategy, but the main point to be noted is that during construction, the bending of the rebars have to be done properly, because if the FBE cracks when you are bending the rebar, then at the crack points, steel gets exposed to the environment and can lead to accelerated corrosion. The other strategy is to use galvanized coated rebar. This is normally used for above ground structures. Again, not being used too much in India, but commonly used outside India in many countries. There's a cost attached to it, but a galvanized coated rebar will provide the desired life to the structures. Then for buried structures and also for above ground structures, another technology which is being used in case barrier coatings are not used is to use anodic and cathodic polarizers. Now these are basically corrosion inhibitors which ensure that the passivity of the steel is maintained, and even if oxygen, chloride, moisture enters the concrete cover, it would not cause corrosion on the rebars. Now this has a limited duration, can protect the rebars for 10-15 years, not a long-term solution, but this is also used on many structures which are being rehabilitated. So a consultant has to decide which anodic and cathodic polarizers they want to use. But as I said, the life is limited. Now, a commonly used system is using cathodic protection. As all of you know, we have either impressed current cathodic protection or we have sacrificial cathodic protection. Both technologies are used for preventing corrosion on the rebars. An impressed current cathodic protection, we can use anodes which are embedded in the concrete, or we can use anodes external, that means it is kept in the soil, for structures which are above ground. ICCP is a very common technology. Obviously, when the structures are above ground, the only option available is to put the anode within the concrete. You can't put it outside because there is no means for the current to get delivered in an atmospheric condition. The sacrificial systems are also used, but they have a limited life and they are embedded within the concrete. So on the left-hand side, the photograph is of a MMO mesh anode. On the right-hand side, the photograph is of a zinc anode embedded in concrete. In both these solutions, the anodes are embedded within the concrete. This photograph particularly shows sacrificial anodes which are embedded within the foundation or within a pile. Each anode has a limited area. It will not cover a very large area. It would typically cover 1.5 to 2 square meters. So if you are using a sacrificial system for protecting your structures, you need to be very clear that it will only protect about 1.5 to 2 meters square. So a large number of anodes have to be embedded in the concrete. The photograph shows, you can see in a small area, they have embedded almost 5 anodes, 5 zinc anodes. There's also a solution where you put a zinc mesh around the pile cap or pile foundation if it is above ground, and then we put concrete layer over it so that the zinc mesh gets embedded. The zinc mesh is connected, electrically connected to the rebars, and the zinc mesh continues to provide current and sacrifices itself but does not allow the rebars to corrode. You can see again some photographs of zinc anodes which have been embedded on a structure where the rebars have completely been corroded. So this is the zinc anode. Around the zinc anode, a synthetic woolen cloth bag with a backfill, the way we provide bentonite gypsum in our zinc or magnesium anodes which are embedded in soil. Same way we are putting in a backfill which would retain the moisture and allow the zinc anodes to deliver current to the rebars. So here the concrete has been removed, the anodes have been installed, and the area will be repaired by putting in cement. Now these anodes will prevent further deterioration of the rebars. Coming on to cathodic protection, as I said, there are two strategies. Either we put a MMO mesh anode in the concrete. So the blue color is an anode which is embedded in the concrete. On the right-hand side, we have a MMO tubular anode which is embedded in soil. The strategies of both the anodes are to deliver current uniformly onto the rebar. When you put in a mesh within the concrete, we get a uniform current distribution because the mesh anode is very close to the steel rebar. When we are putting in a MMO tubular anode in soil, the design has to be proper to ensure that there is a uniform distribution of current on the rebar. Otherwise, the impressed current system will not work properly. Only a certain element of reinforcement will get protected, and the other areas of rebar will not get protected. So for soil-based anodes, the proper design has to be done to ensure a uniform distribution of current in the concrete structure. Now this photograph basically shows reinforced, in the reinforcement, MMO mesh anodes which have been installed. The blue color are the MMO mesh anodes which are connected to the positive of the rectifier, and the negative of the rectifier is connected to the steel reinforcement. In the center, we have embedded reference electrodes, which are basically silver chloride reference electrodes, which measure the potential of the rebars. The entire foundations of the Ionic Burj Khalifa Tower in Dubai, the entire structure below ground is protected by ICCP. The whole purpose of providing ICCP was to ensure that the foundation does not corrode for a design life of 80 years. And ICCP is the only solution which would provide such a magnitude of design life. Using ICCP for cement, for CP of reinforced concrete structures is a very sophisticated technology. There are NACE standards written around it. There are ISO standards written around it. So in case if any asset owner wants to use this technology, proper designs are required, and it's a mature technology to protect rebars. Again, some photographs which are being shown, where the mesh anodes have been kept on the rebars. On the right-hand side, you can see a silver chloride reference electrode embedded in concrete. Now, the current densities which we normally design vary from 0.2 to 2 milliampere per meter square. Where the reinforcement is not passive, and we suspect that the chloride ions will continue to impregnate through the concrete into the rebar, then we design based on a much higher current densities, which could range from 2 to 20 milliampere per meter square. So depending on what is the type of soil, depending on what type of concrete we select, depending on what type of rebar we are using, the current densities could range anything from 0.2 to 20 milliampere per meter square. So selecting the right current density is very important in ensuring that these reinforced concrete, if protected by ICCP, remains in a passive state for the entire design life. There is the ISO standard 12696, which can be referred to understand which type of or which how much of current densities are required to be impressed onto a concrete foundation depending on the environment. So this is the end of my presentation. I have discussed which are the various technologies which are available today to protect RCC foundation and piles. The engineers working with consultants and the clients need to understand the entire environment surrounding a pile cap or surrounding piles, surrounding foundations, and then choose a proper mitigation measure to prevent corrosion of steel rebars. So with this, I'll finish my presentation. If there are any questions, I am willing to answer. Thank you, everybody.